What up, what up, what up?
Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and paranormal lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing awesome and taking care of yourselves. So today, as requested by Sam Gray, we're going to talk about the UFAs and the UFOs that are hovering over all kinds of cities, U.S. military installations, and even the United States Capitol. If you got UFOs flying over your Capitol, you got alien ships flying over your Capitol, you're in big effing trouble, aren't you? That's right. So we're going to talk about it today. Did you know they were flying over the Capitol? Well, now you do. Yeah, this week, many people reported that over the Capitol, the United States, you guys know on the East Coast, there were many reports and video and photographs and witnesses seeing multiple lights hovering over the U.S. Capitol. So that's what I want to focus in on. There have been many reports all over the place of actual projectiles coming out of these UFOs at an airport, at an aircraft. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on lately, but it seems like ever since the congressional hearing happened, we're having all kinds of reports coming out. So let's get into this one here, and we'll talk about it. So mysterious lights over Capitol Hill cause UFO panic in D.C. It is already happening. It's causing panic. It's already happening, they say. So aliens may live among us, according to a new study and reported on Fox News. If aliens are looking for signs of intelligent life, they might want to look elsewhere, they say. But there's a viral snapshot, a viral photograph going around right now with four brights eerily stationed over several feet above the Statue of Freedom atop the Capitol Dome, and was reportedly taken by a United States Air Force veteran and a licensed tour guide, Dennis Diggins. Now, this is what's really weird, is that there's four lights right above the Capitol in this shot. However, that being said, there are four street lights directly below that could have caused a potential flare or glare on the picture. Now, are they evenly spaced? Are they the exact same lighting? No. And they're not even exact when it comes to the spacing and everything else. Could it have been a flare? Maybe. But that doesn't matter because we have another person that took the same or a snapshot of the same night, but from across the river, and you can see a body of water in front of them, and the picture's taken from behind the Capitol. So we know that this actually happened. It wasn't just a flare on the lens that was just an accident. That's happened plenty of times. But this event did occur during the last week. Another video that was taken from further away confirms the phenomena. The same four twinkling lights maneuvered from a square to a single line, but remained above the government building. The picture soon sparked panic on social media, which was further whipped up considering the sighting came just weeks after the congressional hearing, alleging that there were secret government programs that described alien spacecraft and were recovering them. One person wrote on X, "It's already happening. This is insane," said another user. Although there were so many people that were worried, a lot of people tried to debunk it. John Greenwald, that runs the Black Vault website, stated that the lights at the U.S. Capitol building have been causing UFO sightings in the camera lens for decades and decades. That being said, this is so much more interesting because we have confirmed footage from another location, from behind and over a waterbed. So the reason that this is interesting is because this already happened in 1952 when Mr. Harry Truman was the president. Now, Harry Truman didn't take no shit. Harry Truman was a badass. Harry Truman was probably, as close to the equivalent of a Rough Rider that you could be, other than Teddy Roosevelt. I mean, he was the man that said the buck stops here. So he was the one that was going to take responsibility for the shit that was going down under his command, underneath his administration. And so he wasn't going to let some aliens come in and just be telling him what to do and this and that. So I think what possibly could have happened is these guys got pissed off in 1952 and they just flew above the Capitol building and said, hey, we're here. We wanted something from you. You weren't going to give it to us. So now we're going to threaten you. Because there's no reason for them to fly over a capital that they know is basically, kind of sacred or is a high priority installation for us, right? We're not going to just let that stand. We're going to send out our best fighters and scramble them out, and they're going to have a war on their hands, or they're going to have a battle anyway. So my question is, why did they show up over the Capitol again, right? Why did they show up in the Capitol the first time and now again? The first time, there's video of this. You can go on YouTube and type in UFOs invade D.C. That's what actually hit the newspapers. All the headlines said, there's an invasion, and there's flying saucers over the Capitol. However, they looked more like triangles, like humongous triangles. They moved in a 1, 2, 3 pattern, one at the peak and two at the base, spread out like a triangle, equilateral, and moved across the screen behind the Capitol in these videos. So you got to ask yourself, what the fuck is going on, man? Like, what happened back then, and why is it happening now, all of a sudden? You could say now because we had the congressional hearings, but is it also because we have something that they want? Are they threatening us? It's not a sign of peace, okay? If they want peace, they can land, and they can say, hey, we're here, and they can say, hey, man, or they could communicate with our empathic, intuitive empaths that are trained to communicate with aliens, doing remote viewing, doing communication with aliens already through psychic capabilities. They don't need to manually, physically hover over our cities. That's a sign of threat. Okay, it's kind of like the same as us sending a letter over to Iraq or give them a phone call and saying, hey, we don't want to go to war, but this is what we need. We're not going to fly over there and hover over their buildings until they give us what they want, unless they are a massive threat, and we're putting ourselves in danger by being there. The aliens know that they're putting themselves in danger. We've already taken them down numerous times. We've taken them down with radar. We've taken them down with scalar technology. We've taken them down with directed energy weapons. We've taken them down all over the place. I'm not saying we're the experts or the best at it, but we've done it plenty of times by accident and on purpose. So why, again, would they put themselves above the United States Capitol? So this brings me to another point, because this shit is crazy. So China, I don't know, do I want to talk about this in this one? Maybe I'll talk about it in the next clip. I'll probably talk about it in another podcast, because I don't want to, there's so much to talk about there too. But there has been a development with China's drone weaponry that can cause a lot of problems for America. And I'm talking about a wall of drones. There's footage out. I want to be able to pull it up and have it ready and show you guys. But that is freaking crazy. So maybe we'll be able to pull that up in just a little bit, and you guys can take a peek at it and see what you think. Anyway, so going back to the lights again, going back to the 52 lights, over several weeks, up to a dozen unexplained objects were repeatedly streaking over the skies of Washington, D.C. This is in 52. Spotted not only by crackpots, they say, but by radar operators, professional pilots, and highly credible witnesses. The Air Force scrambled fighter jets, but the saucers outran them. Around the U.S., sci-fi-like headlines blared, rumors flew, and sightings soared. When President Harry Truman called for answers, a representative from the Air Force's Secret UFO Investigation Unit, Project Blue Book was summoned to D.C., but before anybody could fully probe the incidents, the Air Force hastily convened a press conference to quell the panic, blaming the whole thing on weather. Boy, don't they like to do that? Jeez Louise, just weather all the time, man. Shitty weather. Radar spots flying saucers in the backyard of National Capitol. That's what you saw in the Monroe, Louisiana headline of the newspaper printed on July 21st, 1952. The Air Force investigated reports of several flying saucers in our own backyard on the outskirts of the nation's capital. He described them like falling stars without tails. In my years of flying, and this is according to a Capital Airlines pilot, Casey Pierman, he said, "In all my years of flying, I've seen a lot of flying stars or shooting stars, but these were much faster. They couldn't have been aircraft. They were moving much too fast for that." Many other papers printed equal headlines. Saucers swarm over the Capitol. Air Force orders anti-saucer alert. It's hard to brush off those mysterious saucers. Even in Montana, it looked like a sphere, so deeply orange-colored that it appeared to be the shade of rust. It was silent as death. It was moving too fast and evenly to be a balloon. And this is what another pilot reported. The flying saucer epidemic hits a new peak, reported the Daily Independent Journal in California. So, you might be saying, okay, Lockdown, well, you said we were talking about, today's and recent events. Well, I'm talking about recent events because this is all the same shit that happened back in 52 that's happening right now. We're having multiple reports from airports to military bases to the United States Capitol once again. It almost makes you wonder, hey, Trump just got elected. Are they like voicing their opinion? I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I don't talk about politics here. I'm not going pro or anti anybody, but I do think that it is interesting. It happened, pretty much just a few weeks after the election. Do they really care who gets elected? I don't know. I think it does matter a little bit because certain presidents are more likely to engage in war using nukes, that kind of thing. Trump did not use nukes or and was not involved in war during his tenure. So, if there's anything to be said there, that's a good thing. So I don't know as if they care about Trump getting elected. Let's keep going back here to more reports so we can gather some more info here. So, UFO sightings, mysterious lights spark fears in Washington, D.C. The Economic Times says UFO hovering over the U.S. Capitol. The snapshot fuels UFO craze. Now, this is not just the Capitol, right? If we type in UFO sightings news, there are tons of headlines going on right now. And I'm not talking about just the Capitol. There's Ohio has had reports. Police officer in Connecticut captures video of a suspected UFO in Connecticut. A veteran officer says he captured a glowing, light-filled UFO right in front of his car that was 30 feet above his car. Let's keep going. Kansas, we have the Pentagon. They're receiving hundreds of reports of new UFO sightings. So is it just because the congressional hearing has happened or because there's actually more craft flying around? Well, what we have in the CNN report from the Pentagon, working with the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the ODNI, they state that they've received 1,652 reports to date, 757 new reports between May 2023 and June 2024. So there's a growing number of new sightings, and it represents an expanding effort from the United States government to catalog, track, and investigate these events with the AARO office, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, and many more. So, what can we say? We could say that there's a lot of crazy shit going on. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it indifferent? I don't know. But what I do know is that we need to check it out. We need to keep investigating. So I'm going to keep pulling up some more articles. I think that we need to have somebody representing us that's going to give us some information, some insight. Hopefully, we'll get a little bit more. But Sam Gray, thanks for your report. I will say there are a lot more reports lately of UFOs. I think that this is a big question mark in our history. Asking the big questions: why are they above our capital, the United States specifically? Why aren't they above Italy's capital? Why aren't they above the United Kingdom's capital? Well, maybe they are. Maybe we're just not getting the same reports. But we'll find out more. So anyway, take care of yourselves physically, spiritually, emotionally. Follow through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams. I want to bring you another podcast so we can talk a little bit more about different things in regards to this and the China wall of drones. So let's get into that as well. Take care of yourselves. Lockdown Universe out. Peace.